Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. Different view. We're used to we're used to doing our Zoom calls.
We now live together.
Now Jason has come back to the Bay, so now we can record together. But we're continuing our not so superhero films month for September 2024. This is actually the last film. I think we went out strong with this one. It's Flash Gordon from 1980. I want to give everyone a spoiler warning before we get into it and read a brief description of the film. Flash Gordon is a 1980 space opera film directed by Michael Hodges, based on the comic strip created by Alex Raymond. The story follows Flash Gordon, a star football quarterback who, along with his allies, Dale Arden and Dr. Hans Zarkov, is transported to the planet Mongo. There, they must unite the planet's warring factions to overthrow the tyrannical ruler Ming the Merciless, who is intent on destroying Earth. The film is known for its campy style, vibrant visuals, and memorable soundtrack by the rock band Queen, which I agree with. That was probably the best part of the film.
But it's like one song, right?
Yeah.
It's like I think a soundtrack is like, multiple.
It's an entire album. They didn't give us an entire album.
Queen's like, all right, we'll do one thing. And it's like 5 minutes.
They watched the movie and they were like, this ain't it. We'll give you this song.
But it kind of like going to that point, like right away, is that song. Even Patty, we watched the trailer before because Patty was like, "What are we watching tonight?" I'm like, "We're watching Flash Gordon." So she put on a trailer on YouTube, and she was like, "Is that where that song's from?" I'm like, "Yep, that's." I bet you like there's like 50% of people that like have heard that song before and have no clue that this is about this like campy. I think campy is like a very generous also.
Yes.
Space opera is another thing.
Like for me though, the only reason I really wanted to watch this was because of Ted.
Yeah, right.
Like Ted, they kept harping on like how much they loved this film, and I was like, okay. When we had it on the list, I was like, okay, I'm excited to watch this. Like I love Ted. They talk about this movie all the time. This should be great. And then we actually watched it, and we were like, not understanding why they have it so high or so highly regarded. Actually.
I wonder if it's like, I can tell, like, I think with a lot of these kind of not so superheroes, this is literally a dude, a normal person that plays football. I guess people that play football are not normal people typically. Yeah. They're like athletes and above most normal people. But this guy gets just like rocketed out into this like
space
crazy story. And then somehow these space aliens don't kill him the moment he
right. Lands but it reminded me so much of Masters of the Universe.
Yes, that's exactly what I got.
The vibrant colors, like almost felt like one and the same. Like when I text you about, hey, what are we watching this week? And I put Masters of the Universe thinking I put Flash Gordon, and then watching it, I was like, yeah, these are very, very similar to one another.
But it's funny, I liked Masters of the Universe better.
Same.
Because I think Flash Gordon's too long.
Oh my goodness.
It goes on for a long, and there's some like bits where it's like it's just boring. Yeah.
Like I had it on, and I remember clicking because I'm like, yo, I've watched this movie for like 2 hours at this point. It felt like.
Right.
And I clicked it, and it's been an hour 20. I was like, dude, I saw 30 more minutes of this.
So there's like a lot of times, like even Patty, we're watching on the couch, and then out of nowhere, she like, all right, I'm just gonna like lay over and stuff. And I thought she was gonna fall asleep probably, but she was still paying attention to it. But it's like it kind of drags on, and using that space opera. I think my question was that you think this movie is way too big in scope for the subject matter. It's like you're almost kind of like in awe of like, all right, how is this guy still alive?
Through all of this stuff.
Through all this.
He lands like every 5 minutes.
He lands on an alien world, and the first thing he does is he opens the hatch. And it's like, how does he not know he's just gonna instantly explode?
There's so many, like, even for Masters of the Universe, this feels like something that should be recreated now, or like rebooted now. Like it would fit the time frame of 2024 because of the CGI and just how movies are made 1980s, it was a great
Try.
try.
I guess, try is a good way.
But I think if they were to reboot it like they're doing for Masters of the Universe, right now would be the best time.
Okay, then who plays Flash Gordon?
It's a great question.
If O.J. Simpson was still around, I guess.
No, he would be Flash. They might try to flip it and have a black person though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but who would be it? Maybe. Nah, Idris Elba's too old. Maybe Damson Idris from Snowfall, because he's young. They can put him on some workout plan for superhero like they do for everybody else.
Yeah, no, right.
That would be
workout
cool.
plan.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have like one person in mind that's like, oh, this would be the perfect person for Flash.
But I agree with you where it's like rebooting this or even like taking a second look. And I think kind of like ringing it back in and everything where it's like, because there's like so much that goes on. They're like meeting these people that have wings. Those people reminded me of the people that in Power Rangers.
Oh,
like Ooze had like those like, that's
those
what I got reminded.
Were like bat monkeys? No,
something.
monkeys were in Wizard of Oz. It was like a weird combination of animals. You're like, what?
And then I don't know if you noticed if people remember the Rocketeer discussion that we had. The dude that plays the prince of that land in this one, Flash Gordon, is the same kind of villain from the Rocketeer and everything.
Yes.
So, and he plays kind of the same person.
It's literally the same person. Just a few years apart, honestly.
Yeah, I think we like. I think the length of the movie kind of like, because it kind of gets dull, kind of like in the middle, and then you're like, all right, I've been watching this for way too long. You kind of get over the fact that like, oh, like you get taken out of the fact of like, oh, you're watching like a crazy movie. Like you can almost sometimes like look past like some of these movies where it's like, because that's how they become cult classics, because it's like you look past it and it's actually a fun ride. It, like Bill and Ted's like Excellent Adventure. It's like, it's not the best movie in the world, but it's actually pretty fun to watch. This, you sometimes are like, man, this guy, we should kind of wrap it up and everything.
But it started off like fast paced. It started off well, and then it just felt like it took a turn. You're like, okay, what is this story actually? Like, what is actually going on?
Yeah, you don't know the reasoning for any of this. Like the Ming dude is just a douchebag that wants to like just play around with different civilizations. So, and then in the beginning where there's that scientist that wants to go up into space, the main scientist throughout the whole movie, he's like instantly like, oh, they're attacking us, and he wants to shoot the other scientists. It's like there's nothing that tells me that was supposed to happen.
There's really no story. It's kind of like, hey, Flash. I guess if we read the comic books, we might have a better understanding. But for most people, they're gonna go into a movie not having any backstory, what's going on. So you want the movie to explain, hey, this is the scope of this. And this didn't feel like it did that. It felt like you kind of get thrown into it, and you're like, okay, he's a football player, but he's in space and doing all these things he shouldn't be doing. Why is he not wearing a helmet or anything? Like, what's going on? And just shit just happens.
I think this is where like
an hour plus
the Marvel way of making things should happen, where it's like there's an origin story that needs to happen.
Very cookie cutter of this is how they came to be. And here's the story.
Tell us the background as to what the hell is going on.
Everybody knows Uncle Ben's story.
But we need to see it multiple times to know why Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man.
Just reiterate it as many times as you can and we'll get it.
Yeah, so I think that's like one of the downsides of this movie, where it's like it's hard to like recommend this movie to anybody that didn't live through the 80s. We didn't live through the 80s, and because it totally feels, or didn't see Ted. But this totally feels like an 80s movie and everything. And it just seems like did they like watch Star Wars and like, all right, let's just stick a football player into Star Wars?
Yeah, honestly.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It feels like they just wanted to make a movie. They were like, hey, let's make the most American comic book movie ever. Let's get a football player and let's get this comic book IP. Let's put it together and throw it out there for people.
And I wonder, like sometimes they make projects to like, kind of like put a fledgling actress kind of out there, and then kind of like bring them up and everything. Mm-hmm. So there's always like a project that like
almost
is
like
made
Glenn
for.
Powell with Maverick.
Yeah. So like stuff like that happens to just like, hey, this person is now gonna be in your screen all the time.
Yes.
So I wonder if that was like, but then if people reading this, like they're probably like, what the hell am I doing? It's like I'm gonna be trapped in some dude's sex dungeon and everything, and
it's like an episode of The Boys.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's where I kind of falter with like who to recommend it to. Where it's like, Patty and I watched the trailer and we're hyped. We were like, oh, that's a totally like Saturday movie. We're gonna pop some popcorn, but then you almost kind of like, all right, I need to like look at my phone while I'm watching this movie.
Honestly, I think I walked off. I was like, this is still going? Like, what is happening at this point?
Yeah.
I think if they would have cut it down to an hour and a half, take out 20 minutes of just BS that they had in there, gave us an hour and a half film with still the same epicness, I think it would have been better. But the fact that it was 2 hours, no backstory, and you're just kind of like, okay, when is this shit going to be done? It just made it a terrible watch.
And I honestly don't know if I actually paid to watch this, and because I walked away and I was like, Patty, find the movie and everything, and I come back and it was on. So I don't know if we paid for it, but if I did, I want my money back. So I think we've been kind of like talking about this movie longer than it should have been.
Honestly.
But what'd you end up giving it in Letterboxd, the 5-star rating? I think this is my first actual rating like this.
Yeah, I think we got the same rating.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So I went with a 1 star. I was going to go with like a half a star, but then I was like, I don't know. They made the movie.
Yeah, they got their money back. It's been years. They did something.
Like someone actually wanted to try to make this movie. Like they wanted this to be successful. It's like, I think a half a star is like for like movies that you totally know that they're just making for no reason.
Yes.
Or nowadays in the AI realm.
Like a Tubi film. Like,
yeah,
hey,
stuff.
Tubi gave you some money, you made a movie, we can now watch that movie. We like it or we dislike it. Like,
yeah, it's either you do or you don't. And so I think a 1 is very fitting for this, because it's like, if you can find a 2-star rating, then you're finding this a lot more positive than anything, than in our perspective, I think, right?
You read the comic book.
I guess.
There's something you did that we didn't do. And that's how you gave it a higher rating than we did.
And that's, because it's hard to like even recommend this. I'm not gonna like tell my parents to watch this. Like we watched a fairly good amount of movies on like within our podcast and stuff that like I want to tell everybody to watch this movie and stuff.
We have enough highly recommendable movies that we've watched on this that this wouldn't be added anywhere near that list.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week with another one. And please let us know in the comments below if you've seen Flash Gordon. Did you watch it in the 80s? If you liked it, disliked it. What do you think about it now if you watched it before and then kind of revisit it now? And please like and subscribe to Saturday Night Popcorn for more podcasts like these.